F-7 rocket-propelled grenades, modified AK-47s, decades-old Soviet machine guns. This is the story of a deadly makeshift arsenal of cheap, second-hand, often stolen weapons that Hamas has used to attack Israel. Even so, how does Hamas face a far more sophisticated and conventional military power like Israel? It uses homemade rockets. On the 7th of October, Hamas fired anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000 rockets to overwhelm Israel. Earlier, it used to fire rockets made of old water pipes. But today, Hamas fires the Al-Qassam rockets. They're cheap, costing about $3,600 a pop. They're also crude, made in home garages, pumped with rocket fuel of sugar and fertilizers, and lethal, but without a guidance system, and that only makes them even more dangerous. Our next report tells you about the missile that Hamas fires.
The Al-Qassam brigades, members of Hamas's armed wing, riding cars, showing off their weapons, children posing with rocket launchers. This was the site of a Hamas military exhibition held in Gaza in July this year. It was held to mark the anniversary of the 2014 war with Israel.
Through this event, we convey that the Al-Qassam brigades continue to develop, prepare and train. We work and accumulate strength, awaiting the moment to confront Israel.
And confront they did on October 7th, almost 50 years since the 1973 Yom Kippur War. Hamas attacked Israel. It was surprising on multiple counts. One, it caught Israel off guard. And two, Hamas's show of strength was shocking. Israel has a state-of-the-art military infrastructure. A battle with the West Asian nation is asymmetrical for Hamas. But the terrorists overwhelmed Israel's Iron Dome air defense system by firing between 5,000 to 7,000 rockets. Hamas has long depended on its rockets to fight Israel's conventional military. Most of them are homemade. Back in the day, they comprised of makeshift rockets made of old water pipes. But today, they produce the Qassam rockets. They were first introduced in the early 2000s, and they're named after this man, Sheikh Izzuddin Al-Qassam. He was a religious leader, also formed the first Palestinian guerrilla group. Initially, these rockets cost $800 a pop. Today, they're valued at almost $3,600. While it's more than a four-fold increase, it's still much less than what an Iron Dome costs, which is $50,000. So what exactly is a Qassam rocket? It's a crude garage-built weapon, usually assembled from industrial piping. It's filled with a homemade concoction of sugar and potassium nitrate fertilizer, plus explosives. Almost sounds like a shoddy science experiment. This rocket is small. It's easy to launch and transport. It doesn't have a guidance system, but that's by design. It's not made for a targeted strike. The entire objective is to create chaos, to damage whatever comes in its path. Over time, Hamas has supplemented Qassams with military-grade rockets, like the Russian-made Brigade. These are bigger and more lethal. Hamas claims there are local factories to build Qassam rockets in Gaza. And that's not all. Name the range of the rocket, from 10 kilometers to 80 kilometers to 160 to even 250 kilometers. And Hamas can build it. But it's not just creating, it's also modifying. Gaza has become a fertile ground for terrorists to scavenge and transform weapons. A number of them appear to be altered Russian or Chinese firearms that were left on battlefields and made their way to Hamas. Like the Soviet-built machine guns. It usually requires 2 people to operate. Hamas tweaked it so any one person can fire from it. Or the AK-47s, a preferred assault rifle for many terrorists and militant groups, because they practically spray bullets. Experts say they reached Hamas as old Soviet and Chinese weapons. But Hamas made these weapons lighter, making them easier to use. The weapons that Hamas possesses are far less sophisticated than the ones used by conventional militaries like Israel. But they can do just as much damage. Sometimes they also misfire, wreaking havoc on anything and anyone, army or civilian, upon impact. These homemade projectiles are causing unprecedented levels of destruction. And that is no rocket science.